Hello, hello, and welcome everyone to Career Lounge Session, helping you be a greater you. I'm your host, Elizabeth People, and this lounge is designed to help middle and high school students prepare for life after high school because we believe failing to plan is planning to fail. So today's topic is going to be all around goal setting, and we cannot wait to talk with all of you about how to set goals for the best part of your life and before we get to that, we are going to start off with our special thanks to our Career Lounge session sponsor, EXL. EXL is a leading data analytics and digital operations and solutions company. To learn more about EXL, please visit their website at www.exlservice.com. Thanks to their sponsorship, we are able to bring this lounge to you at no cost. So, let's jump into a little bit about who we are. We are Love Our Youth, a 501c3 nonprofit organization providing programs for youth. Our mission is to leverage the power of collaboration to uplift and empower youth and their families within our community. Before we kick off today's topic, we are going to learn a little bit more about our panelists. So, we would like to start off by asking each one of our panelists to briefly introduce themselves, right? So we're going to ask you to share your first and last name, tell us a little bit about yourself, your current role at the company, and why you may have chosen your current career. And we can repeat any of these questions if you like. So, anyone want to go first?
Sure, I don't mind going for it first. I just want to introduce myself. So my name is Kim Jax. I am currently a part of the HR team within EXL. My title is actually People Success Specialist. So what does that mean? It's very, very broad of helping basically others be successful in their roles. So I do also focus a lot on our corporate social responsibility. So that means volunteering, helping with, initiatives going on, in the U.S., in Canada, in Mexico as well. So very excited to be here, talk about goal setting. But yeah, I'm just to give a little background about who I am. I have about 7 years experience in the HR function. I am a certified PHR, and I actually just moved here to Idaho. So I'm loving the outdoors. I'm a very outdoorsy person. And I have a beautiful 9-year-old daughter that me and my husband just shower a bunch of gifts and love on. So we're very busy with her as well. So I'll hand it back over to you, Elizabeth.
Awesome, awesome. So, who will be our next to introduce themselves?
I can go next.
I'll go.
Yeah, go ahead.
Whoever wants to go. Okay. So hi, my name is Chase Shuffle. I'm the office manager here at EXL, and what that kind of includes is basically handling anything with the facilities. So that could be, if a water main breaks in the office, I'm the guy you call. Or if there's something more simple, like anything for our back end administrative needs, I'm the guy to call and I'll take care of it. So I've been here for about 3 years. But that's kind of my main job, is taking care of everything for facilities and stuff like that for EXL. A little bit of background about me is I've been a serial entrepreneur. I have a couple of different businesses that I run in out of Arizona, Alabama, and Florida. So I am a very busy guy, working all the time. But I had big aspirations as a kid. So that's why I do what I do. And I was super excited to be a part of this, and hopefully I can motivate everybody in there. But yeah, that's just a little bit about me.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that, Chase. And who would like to introduce themselves next?
I can go next.
Sure.
Hey everyone, my name is Bharat Sainath. I work as a lead analytics manager for EXL. Title doesn't mean anything, but what I do is I work with clients to sort of understand the data they have and help them with getting insights using data and analytics. So that's my day-to-day job. But I was born and brought up in India, did all of my studies, undergrad, higher studies back in India. Recently moved to US. It's just been over a year now. I moved in 2023, currently residing in Stamford, Connecticut. Outside of work, I love to go on hikes and trekking. Back in India, I've done more than 30 plus treks. Highest expedition being around 12,000 feet. But after coming here, I've lost touch, but I want to do it more here. Looking forward to that, and excited to be here and talk about goal setting. And thank you so much for having us.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And that's an amazing feat, by the way.
Thank you.
Definitely, definitely.
I, I won't be doing it anytime soon, but
I'm gonna
congratulations.
motivate you to do it. Yeah.
Okay, and last and certainly not least.
Yeah, hello. My name is Joseph Nieves. I'm currently the engagement manager at EXL. I've been working in the field for about like 10 years now. Makes me feel old, but no, I've been very fortunate to have worked in this technology IT field. I got my first opportunity a little bit after college, had to kind of job search a little bit, but ever since then, I've been doing uh, kind of like account management, client engagement, uh, have done payroll, HR, finance, just been kind of like the right hand man to bosses of a company. It's been a very interesting ride, and like I said, I'm very grateful for it. And then yeah, I mean, uh, don't have much aside from my lovely cat to care for in my free time, but I definitely am very focused on my career, and I'm looking forward to offering my insights and goal setting and career advancement.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today and giving those amazing introductions. I feel like we get an opportunity to kind of see more into what you all do, and how you got to where you are within your careers. And it all sounds amazing, and is in line with what we are going to be talking about today. So today's topic, as I mentioned before, is we're going to be talking about goal setting. And so we are now going to go into the round where we're going to talk to our panelists about, offering them some questions about goal setting, and get some responses that hopefully will help each and every one of you as you're going through planning out what your goals are for life as you get older, or as you go through different careers, professions, etc. Goal setting, you're going to find, is going to be key to a lot of what you're doing. So as we jump into today's excuse me, questions, we want you to make sure you have pen and paper available so that you're able to take down some notes that can help you as you go through your process. So we're going to start off with the questions today. And I'm just going to kind of go with the way my box looks here. And so our first question, and I'm just going to throw this one out to everyone so anyone can answer first. What role has goal setting played in your career development? Who wants to go first?
I don't mind going first. Yeah. So,
Awesome.
As far as goal setting and how it's really ultimately shaped kind of my career growth, I come from a background of a lot of different disciplines. So similar to Joseph, actually. So a lot of payroll. I've been in sales and marketing, communications, things like that. So I have such a great background in different variety of things. But it wasn't until, a few years ago, maybe 5 years ago, where I wanted something different for myself. I wasn't feeling fulfilled. So I think 5 years ago, when I was able to kind of identify my passion, I also was able to kind of use a goal mindset to kind of achieve to where I am now. So I was able to, ultimately plan and have that goal, the small goals especially, to kind of reach to where I am ultimately now with EXL. And I'm so proud to say that. So yeah, to you.
Awesome. I love it. And excuse me, I love that you talk about making a change within your career, and having that understanding or that realization that something needed to change, and then setting goals to make that change happen is very important when you are deciding, well, hey, I don't want to do this anymore. Excuse me, or that
It's
this is
scary.
what you're doing.
It's very
It's very
scary.
scary. very, very scary. I have a similar story that I'll share later, but it is very scary. But I think the great part about it is that you have this tool, this goal setting tool, that's actually helpful with understanding where you want to go and what you want to do and how to outline it so that you can actually reach and achieve those goals. So we're going to turn over. Does anyone else would like to answer that question? What role has goal setting played in your career development?
Yeah, I can talk about it a bit. Um,
Awesome.
I think since undergrad, I was really confused what I wanted to do, and throughout my undergrad, I was kind of interested in automobile engineering, so that's why I took the closest one, which is mechanical engineering. But what I'm doing today is completely different. And and one of the things that I've realized throughout my life is to explore opportunities as and when it comes, right? And a lot of people around me suggested that you should try different things, and a combination of all of that led to me realizing that maybe mechanical engineering is not for me, right? And that's when I decided that, okay, I want to do something different. I want to create impact. And that's when I realized that my long-term goal would be to join a management consulting firm. And the closest thing I could do back then after undergrad was to get into analytics consultant. And to achieve that long-term goal, I'm sort of doing and getting experience in analytics and in the consulting field. And someday I'll be able to join some of the big firms like McKinsey, BCG, or Bain, right? So, and one of the things in that journey is a milestone of coming here to US because all the big things are happening here. And I'm grateful that I got that opportunity as well. So, yeah, ultimately, it all depends on your long-term goals and what you want to do, and sort of focus your short-term goals there and do what's possible in that time frame, right?
Oh, thank you so much for that. And you touched on a question we're going to go into a little bit later. So I'm going to bring this back up about
Yeah,
how you went about deciding what was short term versus long term. But thank you
yeah,
for giving your story and
absolutely,
at
yeah,
this point helping people understand like there is a difference between short term and long term goals.
yeah,
And we'll talk
definitely.
about that a little bit more soon. So Chase or Joseph, either one of you?
Yeah, sure. I was, reading over the kind of questions that we were going to be answering and uh, thinking about the word career, and I kind of got to thinking, like, what is the difference between a job and a career? And I when I graduated college, I worked at a moving company, and I live in Arizona. So over the summer, I was moving boxes in 120-degree weather, and waking up at 5 a.m. and not stopping till 10 p.m. at night. And so I had then realized that that wasn't the life I wanted to live, really. So I set a goal for myself. I wanted to find a better job. I wanted to find a job that offered career growth, career advancement. And so that's kind of why I bring that up is a lot of people maybe think, oh, like I'll get a job out of college or I'll get a job eventually, or but the difference between a job and a career is very substantial. I mean, thankfully, I did find a job that offered career growth, and I was working with people that wanted to help me to grow in that field and learn new things and try different things. And so I think, if there's anything that, the younger generation can understand is that there is a big difference between a job and a career. And um, preparing yourself and setting short-term, long-term goals to make sure that you set yourself up for success in having a career and not just a job, I think is really important. So, I mean, that's kind of what I was thinking when I was reviewing these types of questions.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought out the point about the difference between a job and a career. And I think that that was a great example of, your first job versus your career that you're in now and showing the difference. Like, I think everybody understands the difference between having that type of job and
Yeah,
then the type of career that you have now and what it affords you. What does it
right.
give you? At the same time. And so, thank you so much for outlining that difference because that's definitely something I think our viewers will need to know. We know coming out of high school, more than likely it may be jobs first, but then we also look at our current society and our current climate, and younger, youth are getting careers. first. And
Mhm.
so I think it's important that we understand the difference between what a job is and what a career is, and then where you're at personally. Are you ready for a career, or do you need to start at a job first? That can be something as well. It does provide a stepping stone or a learning platform for that career that you're going to go into. So I'm sure that being in Arizona and working for that packing company taught you a lot of things
Yep.
in regards to what you bring over into your career space. So thank you for sharing that. And Chase?
Yeah, so for me, I started things kind of differently. It was unorthodox in a lot of ways. I think my biggest thing is whenever I first started, and I moved from Texas, right? So I came from nothing, and I definitely wanted to become something, whatever that meant at that time. I'm not sure, right? I was just coming out of high school, and I had a unique opportunity to become a professional dancer. I worked my way up, just learning as much as I can from other peers, um, and just like really embracing a potential career. At first, it was a job, right? Because I wanted to get out of my situation, better my life. Um, fast forward 3 years, all of a sudden that became my career. That's what kind of jump started my different ventures into other career paths as far as my business starting and real estate and stuff like that. So, I mean, for me, I didn't go to college. So basically, I just hit the ground running. I had no idea what I wanted to do, but I know at the end of the day, as long as you are very personable and you have a vision and you want to accomplish every goal that you set, even if it's small, a win is a win in my book. So for me, I have a journal every night that I write into, that says like, hey, today you're going to do this. And, hopefully you'll achieve a daily goal. So that's one of my biggest things is, just making sure that you set career goals and different paths and stuff like that, and make sure that you hit them, and things take time. So
Yes, absolutely. They take time. It is a process. We wish it happened overnight, but it absolutely does not. It does take time. But thank you for sharing your journey and understanding that, and I love that you shared your journey with us, because I think oftentimes we still have the mindset that, after high school, you have to go to college. But that's what I love about this program that we're doing here, because we're not saying that college is your only path. There are other paths that you can take. So thank you for sharing your story, and understanding that even you can still be successful and do a lot of things even if you don't go to college. And I've always said college is not necessarily for everybody. I think by the time you get to college level, it really has to be a choice. It really has to be a choice that you want to be there and that you want to continue learning in this field or in what you're doing. But at the same time, there are a multitude of other things that you can do outside of college as well and still be successful in those spaces. So thank you for sharing that story. Thanks you to all of you for sharing those stories, about your career development and how you've moved through your journeys. And that takes us into our next question, where we talked about, this is all about goal setting, and some of you kind of touched on it a little bit, but I would love to hear a little bit more about how to determine which goal to prioritize when it comes to like your career. We've heard about multiple entrepreneurs. We've heard about, changing jobs and pivoting in the middle of jobs, but like, how do you prioritize like what that really looks like for your career? So maybe that, so if you are in the right space or if you need to make a pivot and change to something different. I'm going to call you guys out this time. I'm going to start. Oh,
Okay.
Kimberly, you ready? You can go. If you're ready,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I don't mind. I don't mind. It's such a great topic. How are you able to identify, one, where you want to go, right? And two is kind of that process. But prioritizing really ultimately kind of starts at the broader sense, right? These long-term goals, I would say, are needing to be set in place first. All, of course, these tiny other little short-term goals should ultimately lead up to your long-term goal. So to prioritize, I would say, of course, it's important to have that long-term goal. Set that. If you need to write it down, if you need to talk about it with your friends or family, having that long-term goal is important. But I think prioritizing, in a sense, would mostly be those short-term goals. How am I going to, what am I going to do today to make sure I'm keeping my long-term goal in my vision? So what is that short-term goal? If it's, I don't have an example offhand, but it's important to kind of really, to of course have your main goal, but having these also little baby steps, and these lily pads is what I like to call them, from one important aspect of this long-term goal to the next, and how that whole plan will ultimately lead to your success and lead to what you are trying to achieve.
Right. Love it. Love it. That's awesome. And I like the lily pad. When you said it, I immediately envisioned it and I was like, that works perfect.
Yes, yes.
That's a great visual.
My youngest brother, he's about 8 years younger than me, and he was in the same boat as I was. Coming out of college or coming out of high school, you don't know really where you need to go. You don't know what you're supposed to be doing, if it's college or if it's trade school, or you just kind of find jobs and figure out who you are first. So I kind of helped him in that sense as well, using that example, lily pads. You really just have to kind of set yourself on a lily pad. What is your next jump or your next leap? That should be your goal. These short-term goals will ultimately lead to, one, finding out who you are, but also where your long-term goals really are going to end up in. So yeah.
Well, thank you for that. And who would like to go next?
Yeah, I can talk about a little bit more. Just to add on to what Kim was saying. Um, I think coming out of high school or even undergrad, we're not really sure of what we want to do, like say 10 years down the line or even 5 years down the line, right? But I've had friends and people around me who have had that set goal that I want to join the armed forces, I want to be in Wall Street, I want to go to Harvard. And for them, it's really easy for them to sort of align their short-term goals and prioritize what one after the other, right? Because their long-term goal is set. And for me, for a long time, I didn't know what I wanted to do 10 years down the line. It took me a lot of time to figure that out. So what I used to do was, especially after undergrad or even during undergrad, I used to set like 3 short-term goals for that year. It could be I need to learn new skills, which is needed for my immediate job. I need to upskill myself in terms of soft skills so that I get a better job or an increment or promotion or whatever it is. And then how do I personally grow? How do I network with more people? How do I learn about new things? How do I read more books? That's the third one. And since I didn't know what I want to do 10 years down the line, the third one was kind of optional, where I'm going to do research about all the different career opportunities that are out there. And this is after knowing, meeting with different people, networking, and that sort of stuff. Now I know that, okay, there is a new thing called consulting or a new thing called data science. Now, what is it about? I'm going to research about that. So that's my third goal, right? So this is what I did for like 4 or 5 years. And then at the end of that, and I realized that, okay, this is what I want to do 5 years down the line. I want to get an MBA. I want to drive impact in joining a management consulting firm, and post that I'm going to do XYZ things, right? So that really worked for me. And instead of having daily goals, weekly goals, what really worked was having that clear 3 short-term goals and achieving that every year.
Amazing. So 3 short-term goals
Yeah,
to achieve. And I think that's great because it allows you to have a better focus. You're not
yeah,
looking at 10 or 11 different things that you want to do, but it's like three, just that's it.
yeah,
But those
yeah,
three are the three that are going to, make that jump for you, right? Those are going to be the
exactly.
things that are going to get you to that next level. And so I think it's important that we understand, for all of those that are watching, for all of you that are watching, there's going to be a lot of things that you want to add to your list, and that's okay. One method that I used that I thought worked well, it worked for me, was grouping that list. Oftentimes we have a lot of things that we want to do, but if we really think about it, some of them feed off of each other. So instead of
Exactly.
having 10 different columns, I could shorten my columns because I could group certain things together and say, well, within this one goal, this is one level and this is the next level within that same goal. And that grouping really helped me stay focused during my journey. So I'm really, excited that you brought that up because
Yeah.
it does help. And I'm definitely the
Yeah,
type of person
definitely. Yeah.
where my dreams, goals, aspirations, like there's a lot. I'm the kid that was when I was a kid and they said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I listed probably about 7 different things that had nothing to do with each other. And it was like, how are you going to be all of those things? I mean, I didn't know at the time. I just knew that these were all things that I could potentially be in my life.
Right.
And so when it was time to really make a decision, it's like, okay, what's realistic? What do I really think I can do? Where do I want to be? What space? And then, narrowing it down with that grouping and staying focused was really helpful. So thank you for that input. I think that's a
Thanks
great
so
tip
much.
for
Yeah.
our students to take away, like, choose goals that you can really focus on. And then the follow through.
Exactly.
Follow through on them. Don't just write them down, but actually follow through on them. And when they're not working, or if you need to make an adjustment, make the adjustment. Like, I think it's important that we know we need to make the adjustment. So just like Kimberly, how you were saying you were in a field and in a career, and it was like, we need to make an adjustment, and so then you realign your goals and you make that adjustment and you move forward in that sense. So just because you're setting goals, like for our viewers, I want to understand, you may be coming out of high school, 17, 18, possibly 19 years old. Some of those goals may look different when you're 25. And so just keep that in the back of your mind that some of those goals
Yeah.
may look different at 25, and that's okay. That's okay. That's called growth.
Mhm.
That's
I was
okay.
just going to say that. That's growth. That's you growing. So that's good.
That is growing and knowing where you are and self-awareness and all of those things wrapped in one. So before we move on to the next question, I want to give anyone else an opportunity to comment on this particular question before we go into our next space.
Yeah, I guess I could just offer like a little bit other some other context. So I've been working at the same company for over 8 years now. I've been doing, like I had mentioned, payroll, HR, finance, account management, stuff like that. And I work with Barath, who is an engineer, and I've been working with hundreds of engineers over that course. But I've obviously never been one myself. But I saw, that lifestyle. And just this past few months, I started a data engineering course. It's only 6 months, but I realized that I wanted to change career paths again. And I was thinking it over, and I was like, I could have done this at any point over the past 8 years. And I was reflecting on that and thinking, like, time is so valuable, like I know that, it takes time to kind of prepare and think about things and what you want to do. But I kind of realized, like, if I had done this however many years ago, like I could have already been in this new career. I could have already been doing that. And so I don't mean to say it as like a downer, but I think it's really important for people to take advantage of the opportunities that they have in front of them when they're there. Um, I'm grateful that I'm happy that I decided to do this now. But, you know, this was kind of just like the first stepping stone or lily pad that in my next journey. I look forward after this. I'm going to take another course and I want to get another certification and I want to keep going. And I think that people think that, oh, once they're done with high school or once they're done with college, they're done learning or they're done studying, they're done taking tests. But you have to continue to learn. You have to continue to try new things and learn different skills or a new trade. It doesn't stop after school. If you stop after school, then you'll become stagnant. And I think over those 8 years, I became stagnant. Thankfully, now I'm getting back in the groove of things. But just because you're done with school doesn't mean that you're done learning. You have to continue to learn, and I think that's really important for people to understand. It took me a while to understand it.
Oh, yes. I am an avid learner. I say I learn every day. There's truly something new you can learn every day. And at this stage of my life, my son is the one teaching me. Go figure. Kids will teach you something new every day. But yes, to what you're saying, there is more to learn. And, you know, if you're in a particular field, it's great to go after different certifications that can help excel, you know, where you are and help you reach those goals a little bit faster. So always consider there is a learning aspect to setting goals and being, you know, including learning, I should say, within your goals, so that way you can reach that goal as well.
Hmm.
Chase, do you have
Yeah.
anything you'd like to add?
So for me, I always kind of have this thing is like you're a product of your experiences, right? So you always want to experience as much as you can, whatever that is, good, bad, it doesn't matter, right? I'm kind of gonna piggyback off Joseph here. Is like learning is probably the most important thing you can do in any facet of life, right? Career goals is always, you know, you have to have some sort of direction, motivation, and focus of those things, right? But your experience of what you go through in life will actually teach you those things, and those are learning moments. So that's just like a little piece of what I wanted to add about that. So just get more experienced and, you know, learn every single day. That's the biggest thing.
Yes. Experience is a great teacher. People say hindsight is 2020, and really that's just experience teaching you. That's all. You're just learning from the experiences you had. And so that's great. So I said we would come back to this question about short-term and long-term goals. And you all have given great, amazing outlooks on short and long-term goals. And with that, what I want to focus on with this question is the balance. How are you balancing those short-term and those long-term goals? Because essentially you have them at the same time. And so when is it that you tap into the short-term goal, and then when do you tap into the long-term goal, or how are you balancing that out? Like for our youth that are trying to figure out, of course, they're just now getting to the space where they're setting goals for themselves in the long term. So how would you, you know, what advice would you give to help them balance out that short-term and long-term goals?
I think like what Chase does, writing in his journal. I think it's really important to write things down, to visualize them, to plan them out, and kind of maybe like look at them every day, review them. You don't have to do it for a long time, but I've done that before. I've set up like not like a vision board, but something along those lines where you you know, I want this or I want that. How long is it going to take? What am I going to have to do to get that? You know, what sacrifices am I going to have to make to achieve that? I think that's really important.
Yes, absolutely. Anyone else?
I also think it's good to have a difference between wants and needs, right? Because that also kind of goes into like, you know, some people want this and some people need this, and I think at the end of the day, like coming out of high school, you know, at the end of the day, I found out what I needed, and that was to push for a better life. And whatever my need was at that time, that was my short-term goal, was to better my life, whatever that means, whether it's family relationships, financially, or just being more healthy. So, I mean, I think it all is based on you as your person, and you have to identify as what you want to be, you know, 5 years down the line. But things change. That's what life is about experiences and you know, finding that balance.
Yeah, I think the only
Balance.
thing that I'd add is it's important to retrospect, as you told before as well, and it's okay to fail sometimes, especially if it's a short-term goal, you're doing something, you have set yourself something to do in the week, in the month, or in the year, but for X reasons you're not able to achieve that, right? But it all I'm trying to say is it's okay. You just need to take a step back and sort of figure out why you're not able to achieve that. And if needed, you got to realign your, long-term goals and your immediate short-term goals, right? And I think that's crucial. And sometimes as a young undergrad or coming out of high school, we kind of lost anyways, like we don't know where we are heading. So it's okay to fail, and if needed, we should take help from others, especially friends, peers among us. And important thing is to ask for help, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. Amazing. That was great because I think even as adults, I think we're still scared to fail.
Yeah,
um, and it's, so it's important for our viewers to know that like it's going to be a feeling that you have. Like you're not ever going to want to fail, but um, there's a learning experience in failing. There's
correct.
still some positivity in failing. And sometimes it's just the failing is really a way of letting you know this is not what you needed to do anyway.
Yeah, yeah,
So it will definitely help redirect you when it's
yep,
necessary. So, of course, understand the failure, look for how to, understand it, see if you can figure out what happened, ways to improve on how you are
yeah,
operating, whatever that is that you can take from it and continue to build on that. Is going to be really essential for you in life. And just know
correct.
there's going to be failures. Like,
It's
none
part
of
of
us
the
are
process.
perfect.
Yeah,
There's going to be failures. And it's all in how you handle those failures. That's going to be
exactly.
what sets you apart in your space or what helps you get to that next level. Is how you're handling those failures. And so if you choose to live in those failures, then you can become stagnant, or you can choose to learn from those failures and keep climbing that ladder.
Yeah, that's a
So
good point. Yeah,
Yeah, there's a
thank you
term I
for,
think it's called failing upwards, and it's
yeah,
like just because you can still make positives and learn and continue. Just because you fail doesn't mean that you lost or something.
right. And then it's okay. There's a lot more people, and I will say this to all of our viewers, there are a lot more people in this world that have failed and you did not hear about it than how many people have succeeded. It's
yeah,
easy to hear about what was successful, but people don't often talk about the failure that they had, and that's really what helped them become successful. So just understand, like, failure is not necessarily a bad thing. Learn from it and move on. That's what I would say. Fail
mm,
upwards.
Yeah.
And so now our next question is going to be more on the advice level. What advice would you give for a teen who is struggling to set those clear career goals?
Start small. Start small. I think for me, I needed to have uh, again a check-in, right? I needed to check in with me regularly, and set small goals initially. It kind of helped me become disciplined to really be able to check in with myself more regularly. So I think the advice I would give is don't look at this huge scope. Again, I think these small achievable goals and setting them that are reasonable is important, and make sure that you're setting a timeline for it too. You don't want to just have a goal and 4 years go by and you haven't accomplished it. I think it's important to have a goal and set it to where you can actually measure it. And then stay disciplined. I can't say that enough. Even outside of my career life, I have small goals that I try to achieve every day. Being off my phone after 5 p.m., being with my family, or just even going for a 5 minute, 10 minute walk throughout the day. Like those little things, and staying disciplined to those goals is so important. I can't say that enough.
Yes, I definitely agree. And as soon as you said the phone, I was like, ooh, that's me.
It's hard. It is hard. And
But
again, but
yeah,
the hard things is where we grow the most, right? That's where we're really
exactly.
going to grow. So
Exactly. We don't grow in comfort. In
exactly.
comfort you stand still, but the hard things are what make you grow. And so thank you for bringing that up. But yes, being disciplined, and having small goals, I think, is really a great idea. There's a saying, you make 100, more than 100 decisions every single day of your life. Allow this to be part of your decisions. Allow these types of decisions to help you, to help cater to the goals that you have set. And once you start doing that, the more you do it, you build a routine, you build a habit, and before you know it, it becomes a lifestyle. And it's not even like you're forcing yourself anymore. You're just doing it. This is how you live. This is how you operate. And so that is also really helpful when it comes to setting goals.
Yeah.
Anyone else have anything else they want to say about the bound? I'm sorry. We moved on. Advice for teens struggling to set clear goals. Oh, and thank you, Kimberly. Also, I heard the SMART goals in there.
Yes, SMART goals is so important.
I heard
Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and time, like measurable. You want to make sure it's relevant there.
Absolutely. So, to our viewers, our young viewers, please take note of SMART goals. You will hear this term a lot as you go through life, and it really does work. And however you want to do it, just use it as a guide to get you started. So, if you're not sure, it's a great way to get started. So, thank you for that, Kimberly. Any other advice for our teens?
I think just on top of what Kim was saying, it's important that we put in that effort that is needed. And if we are really not sure about what we want to do, then what helped for me is talking to people who have done that before, right? Um, Someone in the same industry, or it could be within your friends, within your family, your brother's friends, sister's friends, whatever it is. But it's important to find those people, and it's not easy, right? I mean, they're accessible now that we have LinkedIn, we have Instagram everywhere, but you still have to put in that effort, reach out to people, try and understand what they went through to be there, and that will really help you realize that whether it's the right thing for you, and if it is, then you will know what are the goals that you need to set to be there, right? Um, so I think, yeah, that's one thing I wanted to add.
Awesome. Thank you. You guys are giving some great gems today. I really was like, I'm sitting here now, like, what were my next goals? I'm gonna take some of this and use this in what my next goals are, and I find that interesting because yes, as adults we still continue to set goals. So
Yeah.
this is something that you will do throughout the course of your life. I don't know that goal setting ever really stops, and sometimes your goals are not going to be as obvious as we're thinking. Sometimes your goals are actually subconscious, and can seem like it's everyday things, but even everyday things are goals. Just everyday things are goals, like just getting through the day and by 5 o'clock being able to say I'm shutting all electronics down is definitely a goal. And it's a hard one.
That's why
So
we
much.
can only get a hold of Kim after 5 o'clock, I guess.
Especially on a Friday, we need that.
Yeah.
And yes, but it's important, and I like that because the goal setting also, I think, and I'm just going to throw this out there, the goal setting also helps you balance your life in general, just to have that structure, and know where the priorities are, have the focus. Like it really does help you just in general life, in different areas of your life. It's not just career wise, but you can set goals for every aspect of your life, and then use these same tips and resources to follow, and you'll find it making a difference in your general life as well as in your career and your professional life. So we don't want you to think it's just this is all just narrow to just one side of life, but it really impacts your entire life. And we, I joked about turning the phone off at 5 o'clock, but and that's just me personally. I'm like, yeah, I really have to get used to that. But that is because it does help generate or dictate the rest of what my day looks like. So, that's a great goal to have because, social media will have you on your phone till well into the evening when there's so many other things that you could have been doing to help you reach your goal. So, sometimes those things become distraction. And so I use that as an example to say, be aware of the things that are distracting you from being able to stay focused on your goals and minimize it. I'm not saying throw it all the way out because I think we all need a healthy version of distraction sometimes, but be aware of how much it's distracting you or how often it distracts you. And I stay on the phone side because, in today's society, our phones do everything. They are mini computers. Like if I don't have my computer with me, I'm okay because my phone is with me. And I can still operate business from my phone anytime that I want. And so we have to be, mindful of the things that we have incorporated into our lifestyles. And is it a distraction when it doesn't need to be? And how am I utilizing these tools? And is it helping me further to meet my goal? And if if those answers are no, no, and no, then we know we need to make a change. So I think that's really important. And so we're going to go into our our last question before we jump into our hot seat questions. And how can teens how can teens start setting career goals if they're not sure what they want to do yet?
I think obviously there's going to be many answers, but I think one aspect could be surrounding yourself with people that have maybe, if you don't know what you want to do, that's fine. Most people don't know what they want to do, but surrounding yourself with the right people. If you think back when you were in school, of course you have your friends and those types of people that you hang out with, but maybe broaden your environment a little bit. Hang out with people who study in the library every day, or hang out with the different types of people who are learning different things or doing things a different way, and maybe that will help to you know get a better, a broader understanding of the different types of things that are out there. It could be in the arts field. It doesn't even have to be just studying in books or whatever. It could be anything. Learn a new language, play an instrument. Surround yourself with different types of people, good, bad, whoever it may be. It could be anything, but you'll learn no matter what. And I think that's one way to kind of go about figuring out what you want to do in life.
And I'll just kind of piggyback off that. It's more about, like I said earlier, experiences, right? Like Joseph said, surround yourself with different types of people that are into different types of things. So whether that's an activity, stuff like that, you'll learn from them, just kind of like what Joseph said. But I think that's the biggest thing I would say. Or just find common things that you want to align yourself with different people. I feel like me, whenever I was a kid, I was not the most popular person in school whatsoever. But no, I'm serious. And the biggest thing for me is, I took to books, and I kind of have this thing as like, the more you learn, the more you earn, the more you know, the more you can control. So those are my two sayings that I kind of like live by. And I kind of had that from high school. I was like, hey, you know what? Learn as much as you can, and hopefully you can control more. So that was kind of my experience.
I would like to also point out, Joseph said it, but nobody, especially after high school, you don't really know what you want to do. If some people do, of course, there's those people that have that passion just straight out of high school. But for a lot of others, it's hard to find that. But in combination with broadening your, friendships with other people and things like that, I think it's important to just be curious. So finding curiosity, and it kind of ties into the learning aspect too, but always remaining curious, because what will happen is if you are stuck or you're not really sure where to go, find something that interests you. If it is something that's just, for me, it was crocheting. I'll go ahead and point that out. I had no idea how to do this, but the curiosity of just making a little stuffed animal, so it just made me excited. So that also went further into knitting, and also now, actually being a part of a group here in my new town. So all of these things, just being curiosity will lead to kind of your growth, internal growth, again, career growth. We are talking about career, but I think that's really, really important. Being curious and surrounding yourself with people that might have similar interests with you too. So.
Yes, I love it. These are all great things to start with. And to our viewers, again, we know that you may be at a time where you're like, I don't know what I want to do, so how do I set the goals? I just want to remind you that, again, like I said earlier, you make several decisions per day. So if it's a short-term goal, you let it be, what am I going to do this week? And you can start where you are. You don't have to jump 50 feet ahead. Start where you are, and start, making decisions about what you're going to do just for that day. What are you going to wear? That's a decision. Where are you going to go? That's a decision. And once you start getting used to that starting to set goals will become a little bit more clear, because those decisions will let you know where you do and don't want to be. Or what you do and don't want to do. And so that will be something that can help you get into the process of setting goals. And so we are at time. So I'm going to run into really quickly, because I love this part of the show where we are able to ask our panelists a question that has nothing to do with our topic. and get to know a little bit more. And I think it's important because we talk about topics that are very important to everyday life. But we also think it's important that people understand that there is personality, there's other characteristics than just the topic that we're talking about. And so my question, and I'm going to have one question that I'm going to pose to each one of you all, it's the same question, is if you were stranded on a deserted island and could only bring 3 things, what would they be?
Oh, wow.
Deserted island.
And we already have water and food, right?
It doesn't say.
I was about to say water, radio.
Okay.
Radio.
Just in case. I mean, you're stranded, bro. You gotta go somewhere. Radio. A hazmat suit. No, I was kidding. You gotta find something.
Who's going first?
I don't know.
I'll go first. It could be anything. So I would probably bring my dog because I love him and he's a very good companion. He's a very good boy. I would also probably bring something like a knife or something to kind of help myself, be successful. And then I'm thinking I would want to bring a book as well, but I can't in my brain think of a good book that I would constantly want to read for over and over and over again. So, but I think that would kind of be, where I would want to be at. So.
Awesome. Anyone else? I know it's a hard question. Like, what do you take? I had a lot of other questions. I was like, well, how long am I going to be stranded? Well, how far is this deserted island? Can I swim back to shore? Like, I had a lot of questions, but I'm going to pose this to you all. Anyone else want to take a chance at this question?
I think the one thing that I would definitely take is a book. And for me, my favorite book it's this book called Book Thief. And I've read it multiple times. I know just to kill boredom, I'm going to take that book. Other 2 things, yeah, I don't know. It could be anything, right? If I don't have water, we're going to take water, food. But yeah, book is definitely the one thing that I'm going to take.
Yeah, I'll just stick to water, fire, and rope. That's what I'll do.
Survival.
Yep.
What about you, Joseph?
Oh, I'd bring my cat because she's right next to me, so I have to say I'd bring her. Probably sunscreen, and maybe a partner. Definitely probably bring a partner if I'm going to be stuck there. Oh, am I alone? I can't bring a partner. Is that part I broke the rule?
It doesn't say. It says, what 3 things would you bring?
Yeah, I'm bringing a partner.
Somebody else to be stranded with you.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. So I don't have 3 things. I have 1. I'm taking a satellite phone.
Yes.
I need to call somebody to come get me. I don't want to be here. But so yeah, I love that question. It's one that really makes you think. Like, and the responses are always so broad about like what we would do if we were stranded. And I watch a lot of movies, so in my mind, I think about this all the time. So when I read the question, I immediately thought about Jurassic Park, and like they had a satellite phone so they could call people. So I was like, I'm taking that with me. But very good question. But We are going to go into wrapping up today's session. So I do want to start by thanking each and every one of you for coming on to the panel today. Before we wrap up, I would like to give each one of you an opportunity, if you would like, to say a few closing remarks to our viewers today, maybe a few words of encouragement to, help them along their way.
Yep. Who's going first? Okay, I can I can go first. I was waiting for Kim to go first. She's always first. Uh, sure. So thank you so much for having us here. I think it's been a wonderful conversation for the last 45, 50 minutes. Um, and the only three things that I would say is um, even if you're lost, don't worry about it. Just keep exploring, keep learning, keep growing, all the things that all of us have said. I hope that will be helpful. And networking has been really helpful for, I think, all of us here. So keep at it and do discuss your goals and your long-term, short-term goals with your friends. Help them with their goals. Support each other and grow together. And third thing is you're never alone. So you have your peers around you, you have your friends, family. So do ask for help whenever you need. So yeah, I think those are the three things that I would keep in mind.
Thank you. Anyone else want to give some final remarks?
I'll say a quote. So I don't know if our viewers know, but Simon Sinek, he's one of my favorite, um, personas. He's wonderful. He's a business leader. He talks a lot about leadership in business. But one of the quotes that he said is, the goal is not to be perfect by the end, but the goal is to be better today. And I know that's kind of a recurring thing that I've been kind of discussing on this call is every day, those goals, no matter how far away they are, just remember every day is a new day to accomplish something that you have put in place for yourself. And it doesn't have to be perfect. We already said this, failure happens. But again, every day is different, and we just want to be better every single day. So I'll leave it there. Thank you again for your time.
You're welcome.
I would just say, never give up in what you believe in. That's kind of one of my quotes that I lead life with. And of course, you're the next generation, so do us proud. Inspire us, motivate us, and continue to teach us new things. And hopefully, y'all learn something from all of us as well.
Awesome.
And then just to close it off, I'll just say always try and continue to learn. Like I said, learn new things. Don't stop. Make those sacrifices. Take the time out of your day, to take an extra class or whatever. Or read a new book or do something. Just don't ever stop. Don't get complacent. Don't get stagnant. And then I think it's probably the biggest cliche goal related quote of all time, but it's a goal without a plan is a wish. So plan your life out. It doesn't have to always go according to plan. It never will, obviously, but set a plan, make a plan. How are you going to achieve your goals? What are you going to do? What's it going to take? Think about that. Think about those sacrifices, and then just never stop. Time is valuable. Don't waste it.
Awesome. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today, taking time out of your day to be with us here on Career Lounge Sessions. We are so excited to have had you with us and hear all about your journeys, your experiences, as well as your advice for how our viewers can take that next step in their life. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for joining us. Yes, the viewer, thank you for joining us. We hope that today's conversation has given you insight and clarity on making a life after high school. And special thank you to our Career Lounge session sponsors. EXL. EXL is a leading data analytics and digital operations solutions company, and you can learn more about EXL at their website, www.exlservice.com. Thanks to their sponsorship, we are able to bring this lounge to you at no cost. And so we look forward to seeing you at our next Career Lounge session. All sessions are right here on YouTube. Make sure you go to our playlist and watch them all. And don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share this and future sessions with your friends. Thank you all for joining us.